Hello, today you will be completing independent work because many people are still finishing the CASP. Your first task today is to make a list of real-world problems that you've discussed in all of your classes. What are the big issues that currently affect and/or impact the world around you? Think about everything you've learned in history, LTTA, and ELA this year. You'll write these lists in the white space on the back of your half sheet today. Please raise your hand if you're not sure what I'm talking about, or if you did not grab a half sheet on your way in. Please pause this recording and do so now. Pause the audio recording now to make a list of at least 3 real-world problems on the back of your half sheet. Today's objective is, I will be able to collaborate effectively in order to conduct and present a short research project, and understand and articulate why English literacy, such as speaking, reading, writing, and listening, is important in the real world. You have 7 tasks to complete today. You should have already completed the first task, which is to brainstorm on the back of your half sheet. Your next task will be to take notes over our last project together from this slide. So let's consider a few problems that literacy could have to do with solving problems in our real world. Some problems that you may remember from this year are discrimination and prejudice, poverty or being poor, pollution, such as pollution of the air and the soil and the water, lack of basic resources such as food, shelter, and fresh drinking water, or corrupt political leaders. You may also consider some of the ways that literacy may help to solve these issues, such as learning about perspectives that are different than our own through reading. Literacy can also help people earn an education and therefore better paying jobs. People who are more literate are better able to advocate or ask for help in order to fix their own needs. And literate people are more likely to vote and influence politics. Now you should be taking notes on your handout over our last project together. Our last project together will be done in groups of 4, or in some cases, 3 people. You can choose from 3 different topics: homelessness, environmental conservation, or food inequality. The easiest topic to pick would probably be environmental conservation, since we've been discussing that in our unit. But if you're in ELD, you may feel more comfortable researching food inequality, which pertains to the topic of focus that we discussed this semester. You can choose to present in any format, which includes speech, slides, video, poster, or some other creative presentation such as a skit. But you must include all of the required components, regardless of the format that you choose. We'll talk more about the required components of the project later. So now you should have taken notes on your handout over our last project together. Now you will complete the Google form under whole class to check for understanding. Set a 5-minute timer for yourself so you don't take too long to complete the check for understanding. This is for a grade, so be sure to pause the audio recording now so you can complete the check for understanding. Now you should have completed the Google form, which was under whole class. Now you'll take some more notes on your handout. So today you'll be practicing a research skill, which I like to call skimming. Skimming is one of the tools you can use to read more in less time. It is useful for taking tests and for conducting short research projects. It is not useful when reading books or for critical reading, such as when you are answering text-dependent questions. Skimming refers to looking only for the general and main ideas, and it works best with nonfiction or factual material. With skimming, your overall understanding is reduced because you don't read everything. Skimming takes place while reading, and it allows you to look for details in addition to the main ideas. Many people think that skimming is a haphazard process, placing the eyes wherever they fall. However, to skim effectively, there has to be a structure. What you read is more important than what you leave out. So what material do you read, and what material do you leave out? So let's say you're doing research. By reading the first few paragraphs of a source in detail, you will get a good idea of what information will be discussed. Once you know where the reading is headed, you can begin to read only the first sentence of each paragraph. Also called topic sentences, they give you the main idea of the paragraph. If you do not get the main idea in the topic sentence, or if the paragraph greatly interests you, then you may want to skim some more. At the end of each topic sentence, your eyes should drop down through the rest of the paragraph, looking for important pieces of information, such as the names, dates, or events. Continue to read only topic sentences, dropping down through the rest of the paragraphs until you are near the end. Since the last few paragraphs may contain a conclusion or summary, you should stop skimming there and read in detail. Remember that your overall comprehension will be lower than if you read in detail. If while skimming, you feel you are grasping the main ideas, then you are skimming correctly. Because skimming is done at a fast speed with less than normal comprehension, you shouldn't skim all of the time. There are many times, such as when you are researching or completing a test, however, when skimming is very useful. Now you should take notes on your handout under steps to successfully skim. The first step is to read the first 2 to 3 paragraphs, depending on the length, completely, as you annotate or record keywords and phrases. Pause the recording now to complete the notes for number 1 on your handout. The second step is to identify the central idea of the text. Pause the recording now to take notes on your handout. The third step is to read just the first sentence in the middle paragraphs. Pause the recording now to take notes on your handout. The fourth step is to note any numbers, dates, names, important events, locations, and key vocabulary in the middle paragraphs. Pause the recording now to take notes by number 4 in your handout. The last and fifth step is to read the last 1 to 2 paragraphs completely as you annotate or record keywords and phrases. Make sure that you have completed the notes for all 5 steps to successfully skim on your handout. So now you should have completed steps 1 through 4, which the last step was to take the notes to successfully skim. Now you're going to be completing the interest inventory on the front of your handout to determine which issues interest you most. So because we're not able to do collaborative, you're not going to be playing corners. However, I do want to let you know that many of the leaders have used their literacy skills that you know very well, such as Cesar Chavez, Martin Luther King, Ahmed Muhammad, a teenager like yourself, the leader of the Black Lives Matter movement, and even our former President Barack Obama. So instead of doing collaborative today, you're just going to complete the section on your handout. So on your handout underneath collaborative station, there are a series of 9 total statements. There are 3 for each topic for our project. You need to read the statements, then you need to write whether you strongly disagree, whether you're neutral, which means you're in the middle, or if you strongly agree with the statements. While you are completing these, set a timer for yourself for 20 minutes so you don't take too long to complete this activity. After you complete this activity, you should count up which sections you have the most strongly agree with. So if, for example, at the end, you have 3 strongly agrees in food inequality and only 2 strongly agrees in the other 2 sections, you know that the issue that you're most passionate about is food inequality. If you have a tie between 2 sections, just decide on which topic sounds the most interesting to you. And then go ahead and circle which of the issues that you decide to research. After you complete the research inventory, you should be to step 5 on our to-do today. The next thing you're going to do is to investigate at least 2 sources under different categories and practice skimming. I suggest picking one source from the issue that most interested you, and then one more source under an issue that interested you second most, or maybe it was a tie with the interest that did interest you most. So on the digital agenda, you can scroll to Collaborative Station. You can scroll to Independent Station and click the link that says Investigate two different sources. Once you click that link, you're going to see a resource sheet with several different sources that you can investigate for Independent Station today. So for example, if homelessness interested you the most, you would open either one of these text sets on Newsela. It's just loading for a moment. So you can either read one of the sources on the text sets that I have made for the topic that interests you most, or you can open one of the other articles. However, whatever you decide to do, it should definitely be either an article from Newsela or one of the other articles. Do not use one of the websites or the videos for today. So, once again, for independent, you're going to be working on the back side of the front page of your handout. So you'll be following the steps that you took during whole class under Steps to Successfully Skim. So for your first source, you'll complete steps A through this bottom section here. And then you'll complete the same steps for a second source. After you've completed both sides of the graphic organizer for two different sources for Independent Station, you should have completed steps 1 through 6 on our to-do list today. The last thing you have to do today is to write a claim to answer the guiding question, what's the issue? You have on your desk, or you should have, a half sheet, which you should have taken your brainstorm notes from at the beginning of class. You must use one of these 3 sentence starters and complete the sentence starter with the issue that you decided interests you most after completing Independent today. You will not complete the second section if we do not have time to do a whip around. That's it today. You should have completed all 7 steps on your to-do list. If not, make sure you speak to Miss Poon so she can help you get those steps finished.